Yeah, so obviously you don't want your kids back because she wasn't even willing to go to fucking counseling, right?
Okay. So, what else? So she came down, but I wasn't 21 yet. She literally had to stay away from me until I actually turned 21. But grandma and them used to let her come and slide through every now and again. You know what I'm saying? And she still was trying to do her little fuckboy shit by trying to make me feel sad and depressed and stuff by saying grandma didn't raise us right and all that shit. My grandma did the best she could, and her main focus was making sure I didn't turn into an evil fuck. And she did an amazing job. So she used to come over, and then she found out about Osiris. Because when she found out about Kenny, um, I don't know what happened. She couldn't stand him, and she never met him, and she was in prison then. But something happened with Kenny's mom, and his mom ended up passing away. And then he ended up moving to New Jersey, and I never saw him again. So after that, we ended up moving to Courthouse Green, and then I met Omar. After I met Mark, and then I met Omar and all that shit. Then, like I said, I went to prison. Da, 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 da. When I went to prison, my son was only 10 months old. That was Michael. And so when I came back, he was calling me Dashiell. Like, what up, Dashiell? It was cool, though. Jacia still called me mommy because she was just she was like one or something like that. She knew who I was. That's what I'm saying. But grandma always made sure Michael knew who I was. But everyone called me Dashell, so that's what he called me. Till Jacia would call me mommy, then he started calling me mommy because I was actually there. But anyways, so I met Omar, ended up going down for some drug ring shit, went to prison, came home, tried to get my life back on track. Did the little halfway house thing, met Osiris. I was always one of those beings I was afraid to be alone. Mm-mm. That's not a good thing. You gotta learn to love yourself. So I had to understand that too. It took me some years, you guys. But like I said, all this was planned. She paid these people to come towards me in my life and pretend that they wanted to make a life with me. They wanted to be friends with me. It was all an agenda that she had. Her and that fuckboy Charles Thomas West upstairs. They both of them motherfuckers. But anyways, back to the story. So I came home, get my shit together, you know? And bro, this is my problem. I just couldn't stay alone. So I met this girl named Chink. I forgot her real name, but if you know her, you know her name. Alicia? I think that's her name. I forgot their last name. Jamal Johnson. Well, I met Jamal. Because, you know, all the friends in my neighborhood, Ramon and everybody, they knew about what had went down with me and me going to prison and stuff. And Ramon was cool. He used to actually send money to me, but he used to give it to my sister Charlotta, and the bitch used to keep some of the money. She used to beat up Tasha. I would call home from prison, and she trying to beat Tasha up on the phone, knowing I can't come through and save her ass. You know what I'm saying? All in the agenda, because they was trying to do the same thing to Tasha, too. And they succeeded so badly. They fucked my sister up, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay, because hopefully she getting the help she need now. I'm not sure how that's working out because after all this shit that I'm about to tell you, I've cut everyone off. But anyways, we're going back down, but I'm going too fast, going too fast. So after that, I came home, get my shit together. I got me a place at this place called Hickory Point. It's right next door to Courthouse Green. So I got me a place and I met this crazy ass fucker named Jamal Johnson. At first, it seemed like he was so nice because, you know, I looked my age and he was like 50, almost 50 something. He looked hella young. Not knowing he was a complete psychopath who liked to beat the shit out of women. And I already went through a fucking psychopath mama. But I was on federal probation too. Remember, that's my only chance to be out, was the chance that they give you, the first chance. That's the only chance. So it was all good for a couple months. And then one day when I moved into this place, we went to this friend's house. I didn't forgot the name, boy's name now, but he used to live in his house. We used to go over there and play cards and stuff. I think he got mad at me one time because I didn't want to be his partner in playing spades, because the friend picked me. We were all friends, but he picked me, and then he just was mad because I didn't want to. I said okay, I didn't know. But anyway, this is stupid though. And so we came home that night, and then we were sitting there playing and stuff. We came home, went to the house, I Hickory Point and everything. We sitting there playing and shit. Then all of a sudden he like got on top of me. We was all playing. Because I like to wrestle. You know, I had my boy cousins and stuff. That bitch slapped the fuck out of me. He put his hands on my thingy. Like this. Y'all like my tattoo? That's called the symbol. Namah Shivaya. But anyways, that bitch beat the fuck out of me too. But I didn't give a fuck no more. I just know ain't nobody putting their fucking hands on me. So at some point, but he knew I was on probation and I didn't want to go back to prison. I wouldn't say he beat the fuck out of me, but the times that he did, yeah, like one time he punched me in my stomach and he slapped the shit out of me. I had a hand mark on my face, bro. And then I ended up leaving. Oh, my Aunt Deborah and them found out about it. I didn't tell anybody I was working at Burger King then. I ended up becoming a manager there. I didn't tell anybody about it, but somebody found out, and they told them, and my Aunt Deborah and my grandma. And that's what my grandma and my Aunt Joy, who knew that they had guns? I should have known something was up with their asses. Aunt Deborah and them had a gun. I never knew Aunt Deborah knew anything about guns. They came to fuck that nigga up. He jumped out the back window. So I ain't fuck with him no more, obviously. But I did. So some shit popped off. Hold on, you guys. So some shit popped off, and I ended up leaving Hickory Point, and I ended up getting another place. It's like my brain going. I ended up getting another place, you guys, from Hickory Point to no, that wasn't Hickory Point. That was Woodview. I had a place in Woodview with Jamal first, but I gave that up. I gave it up willingly. I wasn't going to live with that fucker again. And then I got another place at Hickory Point. So he came back around. I called myself trying to forgive him and shit. Because Osiris, I couldn't see him anymore. My mom told my probation officer that I was seeing him. And so, like I said, on federal probation, the only chance you get is the chance they give you to get out. And I met Osiris in the halfway house. And apparently you're not supposed to scrutinize with other people that went to prison before. And when my mom came down from California, it was a setup. So she wooed his ass from then too. But she called my probation officer. I came home from work one day and that bitch was there, and she tried to set me up and get me sent back to prison. All in her plan, you guys, to keep me low vibration. Stay tuned, hold on with me. Don't fall away. But all to keep me low vibrational. So anyways, after that, Jamal came back around after I got the place out Hickory Point. Everything was cool, and then I don't know what the fuck was going on, but that nigga was tweaking. Like, he was trying to take my money and shit. He, finally I kicked his ass out. He tried to steal my kid's social security number so he can claim them on his taxes. I filed a chapter 13, so if anybody do that, file a chapter 13 on that ass. But anywho, then after that, bro, he was crazy. Like, I would come home and, he would be hiding, like, I have Hickory Point is townhomes, and this bitch was hiding in the attic. But because I'm very intuitive, one time I came in the house from work, and it was like, what the fuck? It seems like no one's in the house. But for some reason, I didn't want to go upstairs. So I stayed downstairs, made me something to eat, sat down and watched TV, and I'm just all of a sudden I hear, dude, this nigga done fucking jumped out the fucking ceiling and then came walking down the stairs. Oh, he was crazy in Hickory Point too. I had this entertainment set. I gave that shit away to the neighbor. It was a big entertainment set, y'all. A really big one. A huge one. I got that shit when I was like 18. That's because I was doing a little drug doing joint. So like I said, my whole place was furnished and shit. So when I went to prison, I gave all that furniture and everything to my grandma. So when I came home, I took the entertainment set and that was it. The furniture and stuff, she kept all that. Bought her a little laundry, a washer and dryer when I was like 18, so she wouldn't have to, you know, try to get rides and shit to the laundromat. At least I tried to use the money wisely. I paid rent. She told me to pick a bill. I paid the light bill. So I wasn't trifling, you know. And I gave her money for. She definitely taught me how to be responsible. I wouldn't be able to do the life without her teach me, because my mom never taught me shit. Aunt Deborah didn't teach me a fucking thing. My Deborah didn't have mind smoking weed with me though. Anyways, y'all. So okay, back to the story. So then after that, Where we at? Hickory Point? Yeah. So after that, I became a manager at Burger King. And Jamal was crazy, y'all. So I ended up getting rid of his ass. For good. I got rid of him. But he still used to try to pop up around my house and stuff. But not knowing that my mom actually paid him to come into my life to beat me. I got pregnant by that bitch. I used my sister's name to get an abortion. Forgive me, you guys. But I just didn't want that nigga in my life forever. Fuck that shit. That nigga was crazy. Fuck that shit. When I tell you I played the whole role, bitch played the role. I fucking... You can judge me if you want to, but if you knew what the fuck evil fucking fuckity fuck he was. And then I saw his cousin, and I said to her, I said, why in the fuck would you introduce me to your cousin knowing that he beat women? That bitch didn't say shit. I found out that the girl he messed with in New York, when I went there to meet his family, he broke her fucking arm. And she still showed up to the family reunion knowing that I was there. Them motherfuckers was psycho. His mom was the only sane one. One time he tried to fight me in front of his mom, and she took a broom, stood in front of me, and was like, don't you touch her. He was going to whip his mom's ass. But he didn't. And I got back. You know what? Because I was so stupid, I called myself being in love. I jumped on a Greyhound bus with my little tax money and shit. Knowing I was on federal probation, my probation officer would come check in on me anytime within every week. She would pop up. So I was supposed to have been still staying with my grandma that whole time because I was still on federal probation. But I ended up getting my own place, and then when the probation officer would call my grandma would tell me, and I'd just go show up at the crib, you know what I'm saying, and pretend I was there the whole time. And then I fucked around and went to New York one day after I got rid of him. Well, she ended up moving to this place called Ashton Green, and that's right next to Hickory Point. And because when I went to prison, I gave her temporary custody of my kids so she could be able to get, like, assistance with them and shit. Well, I didn't do it. Mark did it because I was in federal prison in West Virginia. So he actually had to go to court, and he gave her temporary custody of Jossie and Michael so she can, because like I said, she was sick. So he gave her temporary custody. And I didn't have a problem with him. Grandma was amazing. But not knowing that Adubra and them never had any intentions of trying to give me my kids back. But they didn't know what the fuck they knew because Grandma always had intentions of giving my kids back. So anyways, going too fast. So I ended up going to New York. Grandma ended up moving to Ashton Green. That's right next to Hickory Point. I got rid of Jamal punk ass. He's a psychopath, bro. I got rid of his ass. Then, I met this guy named 3. He was cool. He was nice to me. My mom couldn't stand him. She couldn't stand anyone she actually didn't pay to come into my life to fuck me up or to try to make me feel alone or try to make me feel vulnerable in some type of way because it was all a part of a plan. So stay tuned, okay? So I met 3. He was cool, but my mom, I don't know what happened. Anyways, that shit didn't work out. And then Sandy used to always just come over. He used to drink so much and then fall asleep. Fucking be passed out everywhere. Passed out in his car, passed out in front of a club, passed out any fucking where, whatever the case may be. Nikki used to come over. It was all a plan. All of them never liked me. She paid them. She paid them to stay around me and to keep an eye on me because she wasn't allowed to come around me yet. And even after I turned 21, I still, like I said, I had all my own places and stuff. I didn't want her nowhere near me, so she used them to, and they, like I said, they were getting paid, so who the fuck wouldn't do it, right? But you can tell when someone likes you and when they really don't like you. I knew something was up with her. One time I stayed a night at her house, and when I slept, I woke up, and the bitch was staring at me like this. And she was like, and you even fucking sleep pretty. And I was like, bitch, get the fuck out of my face. She was living out Pear Tree, and she had already had a place with Jason, with who she had married. All right, anyways, that's their business. Anyway, so back to Hickory Point. So after that, I got rid of Jamal and shit. I went through shit like my lights was off. Okay, keep it honest with y'all. I learned how to do the little light thing and shit. I was just trying to make it, y'all. So I used to, one time, they fucking ran my shit up so fucked up. And so the lights bill was hella high and shit. And yeah, I used to fucking rig my own light shit, and I turned it on only at nighttime. Only at nighttime though. I would take the meter out and put it in my wall in the daytime, and then at nighttime take it out the little square thing in the wall, and then plug that shit. It's like a plug. You just plug it in and plug it out. It literally looks like a plug you plug in the wall, you guys. So anyways, after that, Tasha used to come over all the time. She started drinking a lot too. I didn't know Gege had already got to her by then. Did whatever she did with her, but Tasha never liked her, and now I know why. My mom, I got my 2 tattoos on my arm, and she's like, "Oh, you're flawed. You're flawed. Everything I was either doing it wrong, or I'm flawed, or like when I met Omar, I don't want you around that third world country." She paid all these motherfuckers. But Omar knew something was up with her. He was trying to tell me about this shit, like voodoo and hoodoo and shit like that. And he used to tell me that it don't work if you don't believe it. And I used to be like, well, why are you even talking about that, you know? It's like he's trying to tell me shit without telling me shit, basically. It's fucked up, though. But anyways, back down to the story, you guys. So then, after Jamal, I call myself going. So my grandma, he used to stay with his auntie, Alicia, or whatever the fuck her name was. I didn't forgot the woman's name. You know who you are. But he used to stay, Shelly. That was her name, Shelly. She used to stay out Hickory Point, out Ashton Green. And I used to go over there still. And that bitch stole my money. He stole my wallet. So I fucked around and ended up, one time I told you I went to New York, and he tried to throw my shit off the fucking, off the balcony. It was crazy. I guess he thought he was going to end me in New York, but that didn't happen. His mom stood up for me, and then after that, I ended up leaving that night. I just fucking got in a cab, caught it all. We was in Brooklyn, so I caught it all the way to the JFK, and I flew my ass up out of there. But anyways, yeah, because I caught a bus there. I caught a plane back. No, I caught a bus back. I caught the Greyhound back. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, so after that, I ended up, after Hickory Point, what happened after Hickory Point? Oh, I ended up getting off of probation at some point. So I went to Yorktown, and I stayed in this hotel for a couple weeks, and then Charlotte's like, "Ooh, come to Florida." Set up, didn't know. Come to Florida, sister. But at times, you know, she would come over to my house at Hickory Point and just spaz out for no reason. Then I used to have to call the police on her and shit and be like, "Yo, she got to go." You know, because I don't want to be around people like that. I don't need that low. I was trying to call myself not being like that, basically. So after that, I ended up moving to Florida after that. After I got off probation and everything, I ran up out of Virginia. Virginia felt like it was a big-ass fucking cloud over it, bro. And every being I ran into, was either they wanted me to fight with them or fight for them. Everything was just negative, 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 blah, 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 negative. Okay? Negative. And then no one was there helping me anyway, so why the fuck was I there? I was able to do it on my own since I was 15, 16. My grandma made sure of it. And when I left to go to Florida, she actually was kind of happy about it. And then I ended up going to Florida. I moved in with Charlotta when I first got there, and she pulled some shit on me, and she kicked me out like my second day there. So I ended up finding this Jamaican girl, and I stayed with her for like a couple of days. I was gonna go get back on the plane and go back on the bus and go. I went to Florida with $80 in a train, bitches. So don't act like you can't get up and do shit in your life, because you can. I went there with $80 in a drink. And so after that, she kicked me out my second day there. I found this Jamaican girl. She was messing with this guy called 007. So he took me to where he was staying, but I didn't stay with him. It was this Jamaican girl that was a friend of hers. He's Jamaican too. And she let me stay with her for a couple days. I was going to go back home. And, you know, she was showing me the picture of her family in Jamaica, like her husband and her son. So 007 was really just her friend. But one thing I say about Jamaicans, they know how to be independent. And they'll teach you too, if you really want to know. But anyways, so I ended up staying with her for a couple days, and then she was like, "Don't go back to where you came from. You don't let nobody run you away." Shit like that. So I ended up staying. I ended up staying in Florida. I stayed there for 3 years. I ended up getting my own place and shit. But Charlotte was like, "Call up, come bring my sister back. You don't know what, she don't know you people and all this shit." She was so weird. She used to, she was so weird. Like, my first job, I had like 3 jobs. I had worked this place called Sunday Barbecue, and I work at, in Virginia they call it Rallies, but in Florida they call it Checkers. It's the same place. But then did those jobs, and then I ended up working in this place called Crystals. It's kind of like White Castle in New York, but in Florida they call it Crystals, and I became a manager. But I was living in this place called Sweetwater Cove. That was my first place I got it there. The first time I tried, I didn't get it because I guess I didn't make enough money and stuff. So I got a second job and a roommate, and then I got that shit. And then after that, I ended up going back to Virginia and getting custody of my kids because I used to pay my grandma child support. But because I was paying her child support, and what was it? I was paying her child support, but I was living with her first, and I was paying her rent. So basically, what she did was, the money that came, I was paying child support even when I went to Florida. So the money that came from the child support, once I got the kids back, she just gave it back to me. She wasn't a selfish being, you guys. She was a really good grandma. I love her. Now, at WW, they was trying to keep all the money. Everything was about money for them. They want to claim your kid on taxes. They want to do all type of shit without your knowledge. And if you want your kid back, it's all about money. It's all about money for them. That's it, and that's all. So anyways, I ended up moving to Florida, and then Charlotta, I ended up getting my own place on Sweetwater Cove. So Charlotta would come around sometimes. You know, she was going to that School of Art, Academy of Art and Design and shit. I was just working and everything. But all her friends were cool as shit, and they became my friends too. And my mom didn't pay them. But Charlotta was into shit I didn't know about. So I don't know what happened, but shit was going up and down, up and down, up and down. It was gradually going good. I met this guy named Richie. He was hella cool. But, you know, he was just someone, you know, sometimes you just meet people, they're around for a season, they're around for a reason, or around for a lifetime. So, he was just around for a season. I ain't gonna say I'm like a man, but I didn't want no boyfriend. I didn't want no significant other at the time. I knew I just had my boy and my girl. I went to Florida to get my shit together. I didn't come there to have no babies. I didn't come there to have a relationship with anybody. You know, I'm human, so, you know, I need to get my swerve on and all that. But, anywho, he was down. I was down. He was cool as shit. But anyways, he ended up having to go back to Virginia because he was from another part of Virginia, a really nice part of Virginia. But, yeah, anyways. So, I met him. Then I ended up working at the place Checkers, right? Or Checkers, that's what they call it. So then one day, I met this Asian guy named Francis Prater. Francis Xavier Chan Corpus Prater, that fucker. Anyways, I met this dude. Literally, I was sitting at this park waiting for the kids. Because I ended up getting my kids back. I went to Virginia. I got the place first. I got the place. Then I went back to Virginia. I went to court. And when I went to court, Richie drove me to Virginia because at that time I didn't have a license. He helped me. I ended up getting the license. I didn't even have an email then. He helped me make an email. I didn't know nothing about none of that. I was in and out of prison, group hoes, foster hoes, crazy hoes. My mom was initiating the fuck out of my ass. She put me in every last one of those institutions, you guys. But I made it out. They knew I wasn't crazy. They knew it. Anyways, it was a lesson well learned. So after that, I'm sitting at the park and this Asian guy come walking past me. And because I can dream shit, I had a dream about an Asian guy. I ain't even going there. But I thought this was the guy. He didn't look nothing like him. And the guy I saw wore beanies. But because I had the dream, and in the dream it was Mark was there and Francis was there. And Mark was saying, come over here. And I said no. And I just went with Francis. So I saw him. We were friends for a while. Y'all ain't even gonna believe this shit. So
He ended up moving it, but first he used to just come to my house and sleep on the chair and shit. I used to be like, bro, if you need a place to stay, just say you need a place to stay. You know what I'm saying? I don't need you in here talking about, we on grown woman status here. That was the way I used to talk. So if I want something from you, I'll let you know. But I don't need anything from you, and I don't need a man, you know? So, you know, he ended up working at the job that I was working at and all this shit. Apparently he seen me way before I saw him. But it was a reason. So anyways, he ended up getting kicked out of his house is what he said. You know? And that was all a lie too. It was all planned. So my mom paid him, you guys, to walk right on past me and enter into my life. She paid him too. Every last motherfucking one. High school friends, all the friends. My family is not my family. Even my cousins. They were fucking doing that shit to get money from me. This inheritance that they ended up getting that I just found out about. But anyways, we're not there yet. So, I met the guy, and then I'm like, ooh. And then everybody's like, ooh, you got your damn Asian friend. Da, 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 da. Blah, 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 blah. You know how black people could be sometimes. Which I love my color, I love my race, but still. We know. But anyways, I met him, and then he was all playing it all down. When I met him, he was supposed to be going back to the Philippines. He had a girl named Sylvia that was pregnant. And he was supposed to be going back to the Philippines, so he said some shit popped off with his mom. That's what he told me. And his mom was living with the white husband named Tom, and he was a judge in Florida, Tampa, Florida, you guys. So something had happened. I ended up getting a place, and I met these people. This girl named Lazy, Liza is her real name, but she called herself Lazy. She was cool too. She Cuban. So I ended up meeting her, and she was my roommate. And then, I don't know, some shit popped off. Ugh. It was after my mom showed up. So after she showed up at my place. So, but Francis was a planned deal. That was already planned. So she showed up at my place. Richie was there when I actually got the place in Sweetwater Cove. I didn't meet Francis till a little down the line after Richie had to go back to Virginia. My mom ended up showing up at my place, and she would just come over there and start arguments with me, like to the point where I would be yelling so loud. She would be yelling with me so loud that I would be fucking sweating and shit, or feeling like my heart's beating fast. She did this shit on purpose, you guys. It was planned. You can believe it if you want. I really don't give a shit. But, like, every day. And then one time, she just pissed me off so bad. Yes, she used to drive this little red fucking Echo. Ugh, from state to state. You all the way in California, and all of a sudden, you end up in Florida. Why are you here? And she talked shit about my roommate. I don't want you around this bull dagger. I don't give a fuck what fucking sexual preference she is. She pays her half of the rent, bro. I'm trying to keep it stable here. What's she doing in her life, as long as it's not affecting my family, I don't give a shit. So she ended up, I don't know what happened, but Richie ended up having to leave. She did that shit with the arguments coming up to my house. Then I found out she had my son with her, and they slept in a parking lot that night. Then she tried to come over and start some shit with me that next morning. That would be the last time I saw her, because I was disrespectful. Yes, I was. Because she was fucking hateful and disrespectful towards me. And then when she left and saw I wasn't taking her shit, I threw a fucking candle at her. I threw this big-ass candle at her car. Believe me, I had perfect aim. And that shit, boom, landed right at the top of her car. Now, not mind you, I used to sit on this patio every day. And there was, Sweetwater Cove was right here. And there was this building. And you see the sign where the little thingies go like this, like a little X or like a... It was some type of symbol, but it was a Mason building. To this say masonry going across it. It was a Mason building. Now, how the fuck is it that I just happened to get a place right across from there? And I used to sit there and watch that building every day and be like, what the fuck is going on in there? It's like I could feel shit. And I used to be like, maybe I should sneak in there and see. And then someone would be like, you might not make it out. You know what I'm saying? My grandma told me stories a long time ago about how, like, some of our families were Masons, and they got shipped here in, like, some wooden box from Germany. Weird stories that I didn't think were significant until now. and like how she was originally from Muskogee, Oklahoma, and some of her heritage is Creek Indian on the land over there in Muskogee, Oklahoma. You know? So anyways, we'll get back to that in a minute. So I met Francis ass, and it took him a little minute because I met this guy named Jesus too. He was cool, but he was irresponsible. Francis seemed like he had his head on his shoulder, but that was all a part of the plan. You know what I'm saying? It's called the mirror effect. I didn't know that you could do that, but someone can mirror you and make you fall in love with their ass because you're thinking that you're seeing what you're seeing, but what I was seeing is a reflection of myself, which was only myself. Because I didn't know that he dibble-daddled and his family dibble-daddled into the shit that my so-called family dibble-daddled into. But I didn't know until this year, 2 months ago, when they tried to fucking off me. So anyways, we'll get to that in a minute. I gotta use the bathroom, y'all. I'm gonna pause it. I'll be back.